Alright, so now we're going to create the little flashes and the little explosions that happen on the side of the building. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to create a new solid. There's going to be a black solid, and we are using trap code again. So we're going to make this explosion right, because it's going to be on the right tower. Go ahead and go to Effect, Trap Code Particular. We're also going to use another preset, and this is going to be Explode Out Dark. Now this helps a lot. We can change the direction to our liking, just to figure out what works right. Of course, change some of the parameters, maybe the particle settings, where things are going. We can change this to directional. Yeah, that's pretty much what you want to do. Edit it, kind of change the direction. It is coming from the side, so maybe change the velocity so it is a bigger explosion. And then you can even scale it down a little. Scale the actual comp down, the layer down. And then duplicate the matte, bring it over the explosion, set it to alpha inverted. Now we got a nice little effect, but of course we have to extend our matte. Actually, make sure we have it in the right place. So this is where the meteor hits the ground, and this is where it hits the right side of the building. You probably can't see very well, but if it's there, it's there, and it'll be that much more realism. We can go ahead and turn off the meteor for now, since we have this little bright spot as a reference, and we have that little explosion right there. So we can go ahead and duplicate it. Just move it like 2 or 3 frames forward, because that's when it's going to hit the other part of the building. And just change the position, maybe change the rotation. The velocity even. And then use the matte again. That way it's coming from the side. Then when we have that meteor in, that way it looks pretty good. So that looks pretty good so far. We're just gonna go ahead and do a little bit more to the actual explosions right now. Okay, now I did use some other like live action stock footage, Action Essentials 2 specifically. But I used some of the fireballs to make some sort of fireball-like explosion, and I used some dark smoke to have some smoke coming out from the side. But those you can generate in trap code, but I'm not going to go over it now. But what I am going to do is I'm going to show you how to create those cool little flashes that you see from the side. That is used by creating a lens flare. So we're going to name this flare. It's going to be a black solid. Go to Effect, Generate, and go to Lens Flare. Now this is obviously the default one. I don't like using this because everybody knows it. Everybody knows what it is. So I like to use the 105mm prime, and we're gonna go ahead and switch this to Add. Make sure it's right there, and we're gonna go to Effect, Color Correction, Curves. Since I don't like the default look of it, I'm just gonna bring it down a little and maybe even dim it. Go to Effect, Color Correction, Tint, and Effect, Color Correction, Curves. Now go to the blue channel and bring this down. That way we have like a nice little yellow flare. Now we can close these all up, and we're just going to focus on the flare for right now. The brightness, we'll make that about 92. couple frames forward and then make that lower. That way it's kind of a flash. And then of course a second one, but we'll just put it behind there, move it up. But knowing me, of course I messed up because you have to duplicate the layer, not the effect, and then switch the position. So of course and we will use the matte for both of these, so it appears as if it is behind the building. Whoops, alpha inverted. So now we have two explosions behind the building, and we have the meteor. But you know, the timing is way off, so fix that. And looks pretty good. And then we can also create another one, but for this one we actually don't want there to be an alpha matte. It's just going to be a big explosion coming from the side right when it hits, that frame when it hits. So create another flare. Actually, we can just duplicate the one that we used before and change the position, and then set it there, change the brightness, and you know, just animate it from there. Hit U and it'll select the keyframes. Just elongate that and you have a nice looking explosion. So honestly, that's pretty much how you do this effect. You can use live stock footage. It does make it look a little bit cooler. And right now I'm also going to show you how I did the traveling through the clouds. So we're going to create another matte. We're going to name this cloud matte and bring it all the way down to the meteor. Click the eye and we can just start making some random kind of lines just to be like where we want some kind of fake clouds. And of course we're just going to bring up the feathering and then just make it look like it's just traveling through a couple clouds, just going through, and it looks pretty cool. And that's pretty much it for that aspect. We can go ahead and select all these layers, pre-compose them, and we'll call this Meteor Explosion. Now we can go ahead and change the comp settings. Maybe we can even bring down the height to make it a little bit more widescreen. But first, before we do that, we're gonna make some snow, and the snow that you saw. I'm not gonna make any lightning since, of course, I don't really think lightning happens during snowstorms. But you know, we're just gonna start off with doing that.